the journey toward performing greater works. Y'all live this morning? All right, at least there's a one live wire in the house, amen. Y'all about to kill me today. The journey toward performing greater works. I guess we'll just talk. Have y'all ever looked at yourselves in the mirror and you started to say to yourselves, well, I'm starting to look like my mother, I'm starting to look like my father, I'm starting to look like somebody in my family, that I got some characteristics of some folk. You start looking at your attitude and start listening to yourself. And you start to realize, you start sounding like folk that have passed away 20 years ago. Some of that has something to do with the fact that we have this stuff called DNA. And you know, most people look at me and they look at my mother. Even if my mother tried to deny me, which probably at some point in her life she probably has, she couldn't do it, because when you see me, you see my mother. When people look at you, they see characteristics that are akin to your kin. No matter what you do, you can't get around it. And even when people ask about the person you look like or favor, you might have a response closer to what Jesus said in this text. If you've seen me, you've seen them. And it deals right back to what connects us. We have this stuff that identifies us, and you can trace it for years and generations, that you are a part of a family, you are a part of a people that possess these particular characteristics. So spiritually speaking, the question is, what would people be able to identify when they see you? The deeper question is, when we look at the selected text, how do we get to the place where we really know that we're encountering God? Even deeper, what in the world does Jesus mean when he's talking about doing greater works? You see, the text brings about some very interesting thoughts. For you have in the 14th chapter, Jesus continuing a discourse, getting towards the end of his life, sharing with the disciples, we're coming to the point where you need to gain some information on what is going to happen next in the next stage of life. You got to know what is about to occur, because I'm about to leave the scene. And because I'm about to leave the scene, you and I need to get on the same page that there is some work for you to do. And the work that is about to come about is akin to what I am already doing. But what Philip brings up, after Jesus brings up the fact that he is connected to the Father in heaven, he raises a thought. He says, show us the Father. Show us who he is. Show us where he is. Show us and we will be satisfied. In other words, he's saying, get us to the end. Come on, y'all gonna help me out a little bit. Stand, y'all.
All right. Amen.
Get us to the end of the road here. Show us where he is. Show us who he is. Then Jesus, for a moment, had a moment like most of us and said, now after all this time, you've been with me, you've been walking with me, talking with me, all this stuff, and you can't tell that he's been with you this entire time. You can't tell that the Father has been in your presence this whole time. You can't tell because you just think it's me. What he's saying is there's more to God than just finding him in a location. There's more to God than just saying, well, if he's there, that's where he is. That's all that needs to be said, and that's the end of the story. Jesus is saying there is more going on than just looking for God. God has been present with the disciples for 3 years, manifest in Jesus, and some of them still could not see. Now, how in the world is that possible? They've seen miracles, they've seen people healed, they've seen the blind get their sight, the lame walk, the deaf hear, the dumb talk. They've seen a large fish fry feeding thousands of people. They've seen all these things. And they miss him. Show us the Father and we'll be okay. Jesus says, now, I and the Father are one. He's in me and I'm in him. You can't miss it. Now, if you don't believe what I'm saying, at least believe because of what you see. Now, if you can't do that, then we're in trouble. So now, if you believe what you see, you should know that I and him are the same. We work together. We're on one accord. Amen. I can't do anything unless he gives me the authority to do so. But now I'm getting ready to go away, so now you need to recognize that if you're in me, you're going to do the same stuff that I do. You're going to do the same things that I do. You're going to do the things that I'm doing right now. And greater works will you do because I go away. And if you're insecure about that, whatever you ask in my name, I'm going to do it. Whatever you ask of me, I'm going to do it. It's not going to make a difference. I'm going to do it because the Father has to be glorified in the Son. There's a journey to get into the place where we do more for God. And it does not begin with just saying, well, we know where God is, and that's the end of the story. It begins with knowing not only who he is, but recognizing the power that is within us when we're in him. Y'all still with me? I know y'all want me to come on, just talk back to me just for a couple seconds. If you really, I want to make sure that you're still alive. I want to make sure y'all alive. Y'all.
Amen.
You got to know him. And you have to know him in such a way that you're not confused by what he does. You can recognize him in just the stuff he does. And you recognize enough to know that if you're truly in him, all he wants you to do is exactly what he does. So first you got to identify, first thing, go get y'all out of here. Got to identify and understand spiritual DNA. DNA is the ID marker in every human being. that can pretty much tell who we're related to, where we come from, and what markers cause us to be predisposed to different things. You can gather DNA from sweat, from spit, from blood, from all kinds of things. If you get one drop of blood on something and test it, folk can find out all kinds of things about you that you didn't even know about yourself.